white male veterans are the worst people who have ever walked this earth.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Fascinating. That's bigotry times 3.
That is exactly what I have learned in my last 9-10 months on this app.
So naturally, all of that experience makes them a subject matter expert.
Is that white male veterans are the worst and most entitled fucking people to have ever walked this country.
Really? And how, I wonder, did someone come to such a educated conclusion?
These men think that they can have a job. It's a fucking job.
Oh, bless their little heart.
For 2 to 4 years. Sit behind a desk.
They are really letting their expertise show here, aren't they?
Not ever be in active combat. And then fucking try to weaponize that against the rest of their communities and especially women for the rest of their lives.
For those that don't know, this is otherwise known as the logical fallacy of composition. It's when a person takes the actions of some members of a particular group and applies it to all of the members of that group. It's actually how a lot of people try to justify bigotry.
The veterans are the worst fucking group of people on this app. Hands down. Bar none.
I can think of a few worse examples.
They spend the rest of their lives weaponizing their service to justify their hate.
And so speaks the voice of experience, because they are using some of their bad experiences with some members of a particular group to spread hatred. It's almost like they are exactly the type of person that they are talking about.
That's all they do. They're fucking trash. They're actual fucking trash.
I'm just going to leave this last part here. If anyone would know what trash is, I think we found the expert.
Your husband is your partner, not a bank.
Very much agreed. Yet, unfortunately, there are some women out there that hold this opinion.
May our future daughters never find men like you.
Sad, isn't it? Yet, I have a feeling in a few years, a lot of the women that think like this will actually be wondering why they're still single.
You're using the one life that you had that is more likely to be ended by a man to defend men?
Yes, and I will continue to do so. Because unlike some, I actually stand by the principles that I believe in. And if I see a group of people, any group of people, being treated unfairly based on a characteristic that they absolutely cannot control, I will have something to say about that.
To defend men? Huh? That's what you're choosing to do with your life? Like, you don't feel embarrassed? You don't feel like that's a waste of fucking air?
Absolutely not. Because in case some need reminding, misandrists use the same logic that racists use in order to justify their own bigotry.
I don't understand. I really don't understand. Like, it actually pisses me off. It actually really irks me.
That sounds like a personal problem that a lot of individuals have because they're not open-minded enough to actually understand that bigotry is wrong.
Because men do not spend any time out of their lives trying to defend women, fighting for them, coming up with little phrases and using buzzwords in order to defend. You know, like, I just don't understand. Like, they don't go out of their way to defend.
And here we have an excellent example that shows if a person wasn't so close-minded and actually aware of things that men do, they would realize that there are multitudes of men that actually stand up every day for women.
So you don't feel like a fucking idiot doing that for them? You don't feel like a fucking idiot?
No, but I can think of plenty of people that should, based on the assumptions and generalizations they make about an entire demographic of people.
Like, me hating men is me staying away from them.
And from what I've seen about a lot of individuals that claim to hate men and stay away from them, they can't do anything but talk about them.
Them hating women is them us.
Notice how they say that as if it's all men that are doing that, when in actuality, it's only a small percentage. But go on.
If you go out of your way to defend them against misandry as if they're these poor, weak little babies that need your protection, even though they would never, ever do that for you, you're a loser. You're a loser. Like, I don't know how else to say it. You're a fucking loser.
The only thing that I'm going to say to that particular opinion is that, well, so speaks the voice of experience.
If you don't like me, that's fine.
So, women make humans from scratch, do they? Well, it seems that some of those individuals that seem to think that they are superior don't exactly know what the ingredients list is.
Feminists do not have to include men in their movement.
Right. I mean, why would they, after all? The basic tenets of feminism is only about men and women being treated as equals and having equal rights. So why would you want to include men in that conversation?
We don't have to include the oppressors into our movement.
I'm oppressed? Since when?
Feminism was created to ensure that women had equal rights to men, not the other way around.
No, dear. They almost had it there, didn't they?
Men have always had their rights. Women had to fight tooth and nail for them. So no, I don't have to include you or your issues in my movement.
Do let me know how that goes, especially when a person has a movement that is for half of the world's population, but yet wants to exclude the other half of the world's population that is actually necessary in order for any changes to be made.
Slippery slope. Slippery slope. You guys, y'all don't seem to understand that this could go downhill. This could take a left turn quickly. A wrong turn, I should say. Quickly. If a man doesn't want to protect you, if a man doesn't want to be bothered with you, you just signed yourself up for that. Well, I don't need a man's protection. I don't need this. I don't need that. While sitting in the structure that the man built. He built it. All of that stuff that you're sitting in, talking silly in, the man built that. Be careful out in these streets.
Misandry is not a real thing. It does not exist.
Oh, look, another one that thinks if they say something often enough, it will become true.
Like, yeah, men get their feelings hurt, they get joked about, they get called out.
It sounds like someone doesn't know what the definition of misandry is. Happily, there's these things called dictionaries.
But that's not systematic oppression.
Who wants to tell them that hatred for a group of people can actually exist without oppression being present?
Misandry, at worst, is a mean tweet.
Oh, bless their hearts.
There is no government built on hating men. There is no global epidemic of women killing men just for existing.
Right. So by that logic, no hatred for men actually exists because, wait for it, that's actually what misandry means.
So no, misandry is not the opposite of misogyny.
It'd be nice if they got one of these right.
You're not oppressed, you're just finally learning boundaries.
The absolute irony is that the majority of women that make videos saying that misandry doesn't exist come from the Western world, where they've never actually faced oppression in their lifetimes.
You know why men are mad that women are getting provided for?
Mad, is it? Do tell.
Because they want to be the women.
Oh, of course. That would have to be the answer, wouldn't it? Because there couldn't be any possible other rational explanation, now could there?
They want to get paid to exist.
Paid to exist? Who gets paid to exist? Where exactly are they living? Because I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that would just love to sit around and do nothing and get paid. But most rational people understand that you actually have to earn your way in life. That's how reality works.
If a man swapped bodies with a woman for a day, the first thing all men say they would do is go do exactly what they judge women for. Oh, I would go sleep around, or I would go to the club and I would get guys to buy me drinks. I would go find an old man to buy me a bunch of stuff.
Maybe they just finally want to understand what it feels like to act completely irresponsibly and not be held to account for it.
So any man that acts jealous of you or judges you is just in the closet. He wants to be a woman.
Wow. So prejudice and bigotry are back on the table, but only in so much as that it's used to shame men. Then homophobic and transphobic language is perfectly acceptable as long as it's coming from a woman.
Can we please bring back men offering to buy you a drink at a bar?
And why should we do that? Can someone not afford their own drinks?
Like, as a grown man, why are you sitting here talking to me for 5-6 minutes and you have not said, like, oh, hey, what are you drinking? Or sent a drink over?
Well, now here's a thought. Maybe, just maybe, the gentleman was just simply enjoying the initial conversation that he was having with a woman that he just met and was just caught up in the moment of getting to know someone better, that it hadn't occurred to them that someone was already viewing this potential relationship in a way that could be transactional, so that someone could get something out of it.
Like, it's common sense.
Oh? Well, I would certainly like to share with someone what else should be considered to be common sense. And that would be not having an attitude that reeks of entitlement. Because in most situations, that is considered to be not only unattractive, but also rather rude. But then again, common sense really isn't common.
I've never met one genuinely good man.
Never. Okay. I can't be the only one that finds that statement a little more than difficult to believe.
Every single man I have encountered has done something absolutely horrific and minimized it.
Okay. Such as?
Every single man that I've encountered is a liar, is a perv, and does not see women as humans.
That last part. Yeah, here's where I'm gonna call it for what it is. Things that never happened. 4300, Alex. Because most men do know that women are fellow human beings, and I would go so far as to say that most men, especially in the Western world, do see women as equals. So I think there's something else behind this. But yet, has anyone else noticed they haven't actually defined what would constitute a good man?
There's no such thing as a good man.
I really feel sorry for individuals that think like this because they are quite obviously stuck in what is known as a confirmation bias, where they tend to favor the information that supports their existing beliefs. In this case, that there are no good men.
And if you think you're a good man, please explain why. I'd love to hear it.
And what good would that do? Because I have a feeling no matter how logical or rational the explanation, in my experience, when someone is very firmly attached to their own opinions, it is almost impossible to convince them that they may be wrong.
Because I guarantee you, probably 99.99% guarantee, your explanation is going to show that you are not a good man.
See what I mean? So who wants to see something really funny? Well, I've mentioned before that I'm not on Facebook, but look what I found. And for those of you with a keen eye, it's quite obvious that those are artificially created. It's really quite something, the lengths that some individuals will go to. I can only imagine what else is being put out there that I'm not aware of. Comforting, isn't it? But no, I'm not on Facebook, so this page, as well as this page, are not mine. Thank you for your time. Women's intuition, huh? Well, if anything has ever completely debunked itself, that certainly has. Because if it was even remotely as good as it was cracked up to be, then there wouldn't be so many women out there asking, where are all the good men at? Because their intuition should have led them to the right ones.
You will never, ever, ever hear me talk about the issue of men's mental health.
Very few women do, but I can't help but wonder the reason why.
The reason why? What do you want me to say?
Let's go with the truth.
You want me to say that I care? Let's play that game.
Oh, men's mental health is a game now. Okay.
You first. How many men have I heard talk about the severe issue of rape against women? How many men have I heard talk about the issue of sexual and harassment against women?
I've noticed a lot of individuals, instead of actually answering the question, instead deflect to a completely different subject.
How many men have I heard talk about the issue of young boys being red-pilled against women? How many men have I heard defending their friends when they say really disgusting things about women? How many men have I heard talking about we need to stop locker room talk?
So the long and the short of it is, because they don't see enough men addressing the issues that they mentioned, they're going to completely disregard the mental health of men.
You want me to talk about men's mental health? You want me to show that I care? You first.
What a sad existence that must be. Because in order for someone to act like a decent human being, everyone else has to be decent to them first.
And it's fascinating to me, just fascinating, that men's mental health just must be celebrated only during Pride Month.
I have said this before, and apparently I will have to say it numerous times again, but more than one thing can be celebrated at the same time without decreasing the importance or relevance of either thing.
And it's because pride threatens their masculinity.
I wonder if they're aware that there's a lot of masculine gay men out there.
Not because they care about men's mental health. It's that they need to recenter that conversation onto them. Because when the world has always been centered on you, the second that it doesn't feel like it is, you're being attacked, aren't you?
That sounds like a case of projection.
So no, I will not be talking about men's mental health ever in my life.
I'm shocked. And here they seemed like such a caring person.
They just be talking, man. Talking stupid. Who is checking these modern women on this foolishness?
Mandatory vasectomies for baby boys.
What? I'm sure the rest of us can't wait to hear what the logical rationale behind the proposed forcible sterilization of innocent children would be.
If that made you flinch, good. You won't want to miss part 2 either.
Oh yeah. I can't wait. I'm sure it makes about as much sense as the first statement.
Trust me. You want to solve half of society's problems?
I actually think that we're witnessing part of society's problems right now in this video by seeing a person that's actually advocating for the mutilation of children. But go on.
Start there. Because here's the truth, men don't want to wear condoms. They don't want accountability, they want raw. And when the baby comes, they say, oh, it's not my problem, so fine. Mandatory vasectomies. Problem solved.
The saddest part is, this is not an isolated incident of delirium, and the comment section in that original video speaks volumes to that effect. But what I've noticed that a lot of these individuals that makes these sort of statements have in common is that instead of holding the grown men accountable for the actions that they're taking, they would instead punish the innocent. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Fix the fathers, fix the future.
Well, here's something that some aren't going to want to hear. It's not just the fathers that raise these kids to be irresponsible. Part of the responsibility also falls on the mothers for their failings as well.
And the only ones bad would be the ones that never wanted accountability in the first place.
Actually, I believe that any human being that thinks rationally would find the proposed mutilation of one demographic of children to be not just offensive, but utterly reprehensible.
So yeah, call it savage. But if we snip the problem at the root, we'd finally see what society looks like when women aren't carrying it all.
I wonder if they know that some individuals used to believe in the sterilization of women and other ethnic groups for the betterment of society, and we've found that to be against human rights. But as long as it's against men, apparently that's okay.
Oh, but I was falsely accused and it ruined my life. Prove it. I need you to prove it to me with hardcore, undeniable evidence.
Well, on that note, let's take a look at someone's very own video that actually gives the perfect answer to that more than I could.
Because they don't have to prove shit to you. You are a nobody. No one gives a fuck about what you believe. You weren't there and your opinion and beliefs are irrelevant. So shut your fucking mouth if you're gonna sit here and discredit victims.
Very well put. Because if a person would actually take the time to think about it, someone who would be falsely accused of something could, in fact, be considered to be a victim as well. But it does seem that there are certain individuals out there that only seem inclined to believe victims when it comes to certain circumstances and are not taking into consideration the victims of other circumstances, which is unfortunate, because a victim is still a victim. But I guess that some only want to believe victims when it suits their cause.
If a guy ever says, oh, you're too high maintenance for me, that is literally code.
Ladies, here's something to remember. Guys rarely, if ever, speak in code. That particular predilection happens to lie most often with another gender that I could mention. So when a guy says that you're too high maintenance, that's exactly what they mean.
Or I can't afford the lifestyle that you have and I can't provide for the lifestyle that you have. So I'm going to tell you that you're too high maintenance for me in order to make myself feel better because I can't afford that and it kind of hurts my ego that I can't get something.
No, being called high maintenance usually means that person is focused mainly on materialistic things and on maintaining their outward appearances.
So like I'm going to blame it on you because you're too high maintenance. Yeah, and I'm just gonna make myself feel better because
No, but speaking of things that people tell themselves to make themselves feel better, this is an excellent example. If a guy doesn't want to date someone who's high maintenance, that doesn't mean that they necessarily can't afford them. They just don't want to put up with them.
Run.
Indeed.
I'm not doing that potential shit anymore.
Okay, so what does that mean?
Straight cash. You want to see me? Cash. You want to kiss? Cash. You want the nanny? Cash.
Well, I just have one very serious question. For those services rendered, did the guys get a receipt?
There's probably going to be a bunch of dudes in the comments. Name your price. Tell me the location. Hit me up in the chat. DM me the link. Let me know where to send it to. I'll see you in about an hour. Let me get cleaned up.
Well, would you just look at that? Wasn't that just something? And I have been noticing the content of this particular nature growing in increasing popularity on social media lately, because there are apparently some women out there that find domestic violence and physical against men from women to be something to be joked about. They find it funny. Because if not everyone got to read what was stated there, let's review. If a man said this, the internet would come unhinged. But as long as it's a woman joking about a man, it's funny. Because here's another example.
like this.
Someone is going to have to explain to me why some women out there, and some men, find to be funny. Because in the spirit of equality, a man would be canceled for that. But why not women?
Oh yeah? Well then why do men commit suicide more often than women, huh?
I can tell that they sincerely care about this subject.
Like, I'm sorry, are you trying to, like, flex or make a point?
See what I mean? Absolutely nothing but caring and empathy.
I can tell you why men commit suicide, but it's not gonna make you look any better. More men are mentally unstable than women.
What an interesting statement. However, I do have something for them that I don't think they're going to like.
Killing yourself is the weakest thing you could do as a person.
Is anybody else wondering what school of psychology they went to?
Why are you bragging about that? Why do you keep bringing that up? Do you want us to feel sorry for you? Do you want us to somehow take the blame?
If there was a face to the reason why men really don't like talking about their issues, I think we found it.
You want us to say, oh no, men are killing themselves so much, it must be something we're doing. You're knocking on the wrong door if that's what you're expecting from me.
The sad part is this isn't even rage bait. If anyone's familiar with their other content, this is par for the course.
Go get some therapy, maybe take some medication, and try to work through your problems instead of just offing yourself when it gets too hard.
Gentlemen, I would like to offer my reassurance that not every woman out there is so warm and understanding.
Stop expecting women to take the blame for everything that you guys mess up.
Wow.
Maybe if you guys didn't spend so much time actively hating everything feminine.
It really is a truly special type of person that actively goes out of their way to try to find ways to victimize themselves.
You could learn a thing or two from women about how to process your emotions without offing yourself. But we know you're not going to do that.
If anyone wanted to see a prime example of why it's not always women that have the most empathy, we found one.
My hot take is that men shouldn't be allowed to sit.
Sounds very rational. Let's hear the reasoning behind that one.
It's truly an epidemic that every time I go on the transit, it's full train. Majority of the people sitting are men.
Maybe. They got there first.
Like, as long as there's a gender pay gap, women should not be standing on public transit.
Really? Okay. So even if that is the case, why exactly would that entitle women, just by virtue of the fact that they happen to be women, to sit down and have men stand? How is that helping with promoting equality?
Yesterday I was on the path, and like a really old man. There was like one empty seat, and I saw him, and I was like, please sit. And he's like, no, it's okay, like, you sit. And I was like, no, please, sit down, like, you're obviously unwell. And look around, every other seat is taken by, like, young, able-bodied men.
I have an idea. Possibly a solution that might solve everything. Instead of complaining about it on social media, why doesn't that person address one of those young, able-bodied men that are sitting down and explain to them why a fellow young, able-bodied woman should be sitting down instead of them?
And all the women are saying, there's someone who's pregnant.
Well, the pregnant woman probably should have been given the option to sit down if she so chose to.
That's ridiculous. And I won't rest until men aren't allowed to sit.
Well, I hope they're resting sitting down, because it could be quite a long wait, especially if they're going to have to try to explain in a way that makes sense that they want to be seen as equals, but yet want special treatment.
What would you say if a man asked you what you bring to the table?
I'd say I'm not a fucking waitress.
For those women that respond like this, it would just be a whole lot easier to say you don't bring anything to any relationship.
When a man is handsome, educated, and makes good money but is still single, what's his problem?
Problem. That is an interesting term to use. But why exactly does there have to be a problem with someone if they choose to remain single? And I have noticed this is a rather common thought process amongst a lot of individuals, and that goes for men as well as for women, especially if that person falls into the categories mentioned of being attractive, well-educated, and financially stable, that there naturally has to be a problem with them if they're not in a relationship with someone. Now, to be perfectly clear, there is nothing wrong with a person who wants to be in a relationship with another person. It's absolutely natural to want companionship in life. But I might add that there is nothing wrong with remaining single. And just because a person is single doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them. That is a mindset that I think needs to be changed among a lot of individuals out there. But why exactly is it such a common idea? I think that's something that needs to be further looked into, because I find it rather odd that a person would naturally think that there's something wrong with someone if they're perfectly happy being single.
Trying to stay away from you and your foolishness. Trying to avoid silly questions. Trying to avoid somebody ruining his peace. Trying to keep all his money in his bank account. Trying to make sure that his mental stability is insured for the future. Trying to make sure that his friends and family continue to think highly of him, and he don't got to worry about somebody on the back end going to all of these people and ruining his reputation. Probably that.
Well, they tried.
Okay, I have a serious question.
Okay, what's the question?
Why do older women hate young women so much?
Hate's a rather strong word to use in this case, don't you think? But I'm sure that's just to get attention.
Like, I know it comes from a place of jealousy and, like, craving for male validation.
I'm sorry, what? Jealousy? Of what? And male validation? No, dearie, most women who are older actually have come to know themselves quite well and are rather secure in who they are, and they don't need validation from anyone. This can only get better from here.
Because there's nothing I could do to make them like me. They already come in and just hate me because I'm like a young girl.
Maybe it has less to do with someone being a young girl and more of their attitude and apparent preconceived notions of other women.
And I'm just tired of it, and I'm getting really frustrated seeing like how I'm tipped differently, or like how they compliment these like male coworkers of mine and then just totally want nothing to do with me. So please fix this behavior before I have a fucking breakdown at work, because I'm getting really sick of it.
Here is something that a person might understand when they get a little bit older. If someone is really secure in who they are, they're not going to get jealous of the attention that is given to others. Remember that. So recently, I did a video in regards to how, contrary to what some individuals out there would like to have us believe, misandry does in fact exist. And the responses from some women, as well as some men, certainly did not disappoint. In addition to being called a pick-me and all sorts of disparaging words, the most common argument that I saw was that misandry is just a response to misogyny. And how does that make any sense? And even if that was the case, since when has hate ever actually canceled out or helped other people get over their own hate? The answer to that would be it never has, and it never will. So I'm going to ask those individuals that say that misandry is just a response to misogyny, how exactly is that an answer of any kind that will offer any kind of solutions, if any? And if there are solutions, what are they? I really can't wait to hear the answer.
What if the men aren't dating women now because all they can afford is a man?
And what if those very same men that someone is trying not so subtly to disparage actually just don't want to date the types of women that apparently can't take care of themselves or support themselves and only want a man in their lives because they need a meal ticket, but yet at the same time will try to tell everyone how independent they are?
I don't understand this. I really don't. I mean, what are we talking about? Afford what? I mean, McDonald's just sent out an announcement that they're cutting prices on some of their meals or something like that, probably in an effort to win back some of the people they lost because their prices have become, kind of on par with another, more established, better quality burger shack or burger restaurant. So they say, well, maybe those people are making the decision that if they're going to spend this much money, they're just going to go over there. But maybe we can kind of cut it down and get those people back because we're not getting the attention that we used to. Maybe that's what a lot of you modern women need to start doing. Y'all are raising, but maybe you guys need to start slashing your prices and start giving the consumer what they want. Didn't KFC also bring back some, I think the wedges or something like that, and they made an announcement about it and people were like, oh yeah, we love the wedges. I think some some people in the comments are talking about bring back some wings or whatever, wings, hot wings or something like that, barbecue wings, and we got a deal. Basically having to go back and give the consumer what they want at the end of the day.
I just watched this guy stand with his hands on his hips, watching a woman struggle to lift and carry a kayak.
Well, the first question that a person should be asking is, did that woman even ask for any assistance?
Didn't even so much as flinch to offer any assistance, just stood there.
And the second question that I really do think needs be asked is, did the person who was doing the complaining, a fellow woman here, did they even offer any assistance to their fellow woman with the kayak? Or did they just stand there and watch the whole thing happen so that they could have something to complain about?
Watching. And we wonder why women would rather just do life on their own.
But wait. I was certainly under the impression, at least by all of the popular narratives that we keep hearing about, that there's quite a lot of women out there that say they don't need or want anything from a man, that they can do everything all on their own. Except, of course, when it seems that they need to find something to complain about.
Misandry does not exist. It simply does not exist.
This must be one of those individuals that thinks if you repeat something often enough and are actually lucky enough to get other people to believe it, it must be true.
The only way misandry could possibly exist is if women started coming together and mass raping and unaliving men, making rules and legislations.
This must be the day of some using words and completely ignoring their definitions, because misandry has nothing to do with actions. It is about the hatred of men, but I'm sure that there's more interesting things to come.
That doesn't happen. Chill the fuck out. That's not happening. Misandry does not exist. Stop whining, you snowflake.
It will never cease to amaze me of the large amount of individuals out there that are actually convincing themselves to believe things that go completely contrary to reality. Because let's just take a quick refresher and look at the actual definition of misandry. That's what it is, the hatred of men. And might I add that it certainly seems that those who are trying to convince others that misandry doesn't exist are simply looking for a way to escape any accountability for spreading bigotry.
I have a question. Where are all the good men at?
Have you checked your friend zone?
And I am being so serious right now.
So am I.
I am being for real. I want to know where the good men are at.
Well, quite a lot of them are already in relationships. And if they're not, they're most likely just not interested in dating, because look at the dating pool right now. Can you tell me there's a lot to be interested in?
If you're someone who dates men and also hates men, I feel like those things are at conflict.
You think?
To heal from it, I want to move on, but I feel like where I'm lacking and where we are lacking societally is just having these positive examples of men being good, men being safe, men being trustworthy. So if you have examples of this, I want to know about it. Please share about it.
Maybe open your eyes and realize that good men are actually everywhere, and they far outnumber the bad men. I know that goes contrary to what a lot of individuals out there say, that it's all men, but good men are actually everywhere. If you get out of your echo chamber once in a while, you'd know that.
Men, if you're seeing this, please chime in, please pipe in. Like, are we safe with you? How can we feel safe with you? How can we stop carrying around this hate for men?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe the first step would be stop hating people for something about themselves that they can't control. That would probably be a good first step.
I actually have really horrible news to share.
And what would that be?
Women don't need men to make babies.
That's going to come as a great shock to a great many people. And just imagine the surprise in the scientific community.
We just need a fridge.
At this time, I would like to point out that it's actually a very, very cold freezer, not a fridge. And just where exactly do they think they're going to get the material to put in it? Where's that coming from, I wonder?
Every single day, sperm is reproduced, meaning one man could impregnate 30 women in 1 month.
Wait a minute, I thought they didn't need men. Oh well, I guess those silly little facts got in the way of that fantasy.
Do you see what I'm saying here?
So far what I'm seeing is that they're saying they know absolutely nothing about genetics, let alone biology.
So with a few industrial fridges and with a few gay men, women would be solid. Solid, okay?
I would like to point out that gay men are still men. Therefore, their entire argument falls apart because they do actually need men.
Yo, I'm gonna see if I can find the video, but I heard somewhere or I read somewhere there was an article that came out like maybe a week or so ago where China has developed a robot, like an AI robot that can have a baby. That can carry the baby to term. Now, I don't know how that's gonna work, but the technology's there. So as many times as these women want to continue talking about we don't need men, China said, hold my beer. Hold my beer.
Men who are secure don't get upset when women say all men.
Oh, interesting strategy. Anyone else see what they're doing?
Emotionally regulated men don't get upset when women say all men.
Do you get it yet?
Because we understand why they would say that.
Oh, I absolutely understand why a lot of women, as well as men, would say that, because they're speaking from a place of emotion, not rationale and logic.
No one is criticizing masculinity. What they are criticizing are men who don't understand why women would say all men.
Personally, I tend to criticize those things that I find to be illogical. And saying something is true about an entire group of people when it's only some members of that group doing it is highly illogical, even bigoted.
Men have always dominated society. And for women to say all men, we understand that it is not an attack against all men. It is a plea that men understand where they are coming from.
Believe it or not, I think a lot of women out there would have a lot more luck if they actually put forth their arguments in a rational manner instead of relying on emotional pleas.
All men cheat. Every single fucking one of them.
No, they actually don't. But I wonder if we use the same logic against women and generalize them like we generalize men. Since a lot of women also cheat, we could say the same that all women cheat, right? But that probably wouldn't go over very well.
Any woman who cannot accept that, any woman and even man who is still walking around here saying, not all men, they're dumb, they're stupid, they're developmentally delayed.
Actually, those particular descriptions would not apply to those that think rationally. Instead, I can think of those of whom that description would be much more fitting.
If women sit here and accept the fact that all men cheat, you're not all that special, you're not all that great, she is no longer going to have a sense of worthiness, a sense of validation, because her whole identity is rooted in if a man is going to stay faithful to her or not.
This might come as a complete shock, but there are some things that I think some out there need to hear. Not only do not all men cheat, but not every woman places all of their value on whether a man chooses to be with them or not. There is more to life than being in a relationship.
Who needs an enemy when you have a man by your side?
I think the question that a lot of us need to start asking is if so many women are convinced that men actually hate them, which they don't, why are so many women choosing to still be with men? It doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
You don't. You really don't. It's right there with you, sleeping with you every night.
If a person really feels that way about their partner, then they should not be in a relationship.
Are you going to find that out when you have arguments with them? Hear me out.
All right, let's hear more.
How your man treats you when you're having a conflict with him tells a lot about him and how he feels about you. That's what most men suck at having conflicts.
And honestly, so do a lot of women. But that's another discussion for another time.
He tries so hard to make you feel like shit, to make you feel down, to humiliate you, to humble you, mess up with your mind, and mess up with your self-esteem.
Most men don't actually do that. However, unfortunately, there are some men that do. Just as there are some women that do that to men and to other women. But if a person is in a bad relationship, do yourself a favor and get out of that relationship. Unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of women out there with that particular mentality. And I'm sure to a lot of you gentlemen out there, it might even seem like it's the majority, if not all, women that feel this way. But rest assured, the vast majority of us actually find that loud minority to be not just distasteful, but disrespectful and downright infantile in their behavior. And I often wonder when I see stuff like this, What exactly do they think that they're accomplishing by doing so? By spreading a lack of that ever so loved term, empathy, for other human beings? It's really not making some of them look very good now, is it? Because the only individuals that they happen to be impressing by this type of behavior are women with like-minded mentalities. They're not going to be changing anyone's mind. Unfortunately, they're just making themselves look foolish.
For women like this, they will go through man after man after man because they put on a great first impression, a great presentation for the man to get his foot in the door. But the longer the man gets to know her and sees her, then he sees how much how silly, sees how silly she is, and he breaks up with her. And then, you know, years down the road, she's trying to figure out, why in the world does no man want to stay with me? Why can't I make a relationship stick? Well, because you continue to post stupid stuff like this.
Oh my god, you guys, we can't trust the nerdy men either. Yeah, do you think we just say it's all men for no reason?
No, it's not for no reason, but it definitely seems that a lot of those that say all men just seem to want to display their irrationality and their propensity to be bigoted.
This is what we mean when we say all men. Being a misogynistic loser can take any shape or form inside of a man's body.
And willful ignorance can take any form.
Reality is, we say all men because it genuinely is all men.
Except it's not. But there are those out there that seem to think if they keep saying something, not only will more people believe them, but that their statements will somehow become true.
We say all men because women need to be treating every gun like it is loaded.
Let's hear it for another logical fallacy, the false equivalence.
Part of me saying all of this is that no matter how a guy presents himself to you, you do not know who he is until you've been around him for years.
It's really handy that social media has allowed so many women, though, to be able to show themselves for who they are. That way no one has to waste years. Whoever said that most women have more empathy than men, I think they were mistaken. Because did you actually read what that person wrote? Let's look at it again. So they said go to therapy, get some self-esteem, and, well, most importantly there, money. Because that's what it all comes down to at the end of the day for a lot of these women, isn't it? It's money, and what a man can offer a woman. And then they wrote, because men suck the life out of everyone. I would just like to point out that women post stuff like this, especially in regards to men's mental health and how much they don't care about it. Those women would actually be the subject matter experts in sucking the life out of others. Because what kind of response is that in regards to men's mental health? No empathy, no caring about another human being, just displaying their lack of character.
Dress like a trophy, act like a trophy, talk like a trophy.
But a trophy is an object. They're wanting women to dress like objects, act like objects, and think of themselves like objects. But I imagine some of those women who do those things would complain if they actually get treated like an object.
Make sure every hair is in place. Make sure makeup is on point. Make sure your clothes is cute. Accessories. Walk. Have confidence. Smile.
It's because being the prettiest object is the most important.
Whatever room you walk into, people are going to see you.
What I've noticed a lot of is in these particular types of conversations, there is a lot of focus on attracting a man's attention, being the object of desire. However, what is not talked about is what they are going to do to actually keep the man interested and have a productive relationship. Because looks fade. What are a lot of these women going to do that portray themselves as these trophies once they're no longer in their prime? Because it happens to everyone, like it or not.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of these modern women dangle themselves in front of men and women, if that's your preference, like a piece of meat. And people love that. People love a good presentation. They love a good movie. That's why you can have a trailer and something like that, and people go see it. It's like, oh man, this is trash. Or you can live off of the success of your previous exploits, your previous actions, right? I'm thinking about the movie The Joker, and how the first one, in my opinion, was a really good movie. I liked it. But then this sequel came along. I think, what was it? maybe earlier part of this year, latter part of last year, something like that. I can't remember exactly. People hated that thing. I hated it. I was like, what in the world is this? It's just like it's there, but then it's not, but then it's there, then it's not. It's like it looked like it was about to boil over, but then it reeled it back in. It was like, no, we're not going to give you something that you actually appreciate, but you didn't wasted your money. Pretty soon, after all of the reviews get out, people are going to stop seeing that movie because they read the reviews and they're like, oof, no, absolutely not. That's what's happening with you modern women. Y'all are going to dress the part, look the part, makeup, hair, nails. All of that's going to be on point. And there's going to be some people that try you out. Oh man, she's really this, she's really that. Until they actually get to know you. Then they're going to start leaving reviews on you. People are going to find out who you actually are. And then they're just going to stop buying tickets, basically. And then that's when the jig is up. We call that the wall.
It honestly should be a tax write-off.
For what?
There should be giant tax write-offs for women just needing to be a woman. Alive, presentable, done.
Oh, another one of these. I actually hope that they're kidding, because it's rather hard to imagine the amount of entitlement that has to be located in one person in order for them to think that they deserve reimbursement from the government for one, just existing, and two, looking presentable.
Do you know how much time, money, do you know how expensive it is for a woman to just be alive and presentable?
Just speaking from my personal experience, it really doesn't take that much time. And it's not that expensive. But I have found that if a person thinks that they need to spend a lot of money, then they will.
I'm no low maintenance girly, okay? I understand that. I'm a high maintenance bitch. That's fine. I pay for it. I manage that. I'm the one that has to deal with the high maintenance-ness.
Well, I have to give credit where credit is due. At least they're self-aware in so much as being high maintenance goes. And they're responsible enough to take care of it all on their own. So good for them.
Sometimes I really wish I could be the girl that literally does mascara and that's it and runs out the door, doesn't get her nails done. That would be... I would have so much more time in life and just did ponytails every day. Or maybe if I was just a man. Maybe I should just be a man.
Well, that went south quickly, didn't it? But just a gentle reminder, there's nothing at all wrong with being low maintenance. As long as you're happy being who you are, that's all that matters.
Can we please, bring back men coming up to us?
I mean, we could, but that would actually mean that most men would have to find most women, approachable. But also bear in mind that a lot of women have told men to completely leave them alone.
Why are you so scared? Why are you so scared of coming up to us?
I don't think that particular tactic is going to work anymore.
Genuinely, I don't, I get it, rejection, okay, I get it.
I highly doubt that, especially since the majority of women don't believe in approaching men in the first place.
However, if you go up to a girl in a nice way, I don't think you can fail.
Spoken like someone who has truly never actually listened to the average man's experiences when it comes to approaching women.
Well, why can't you just go up to her, just say something nice, compliment her, and then ask her for her number? That's it. Please?
If it was really that easy, yeah, I think a lot more men would do it. Actually, if it was that easy, then women would do it.
Just get what I want when I'm dating because I train men like dogs.
Obvious puns aside, let's just get into it.
There's 3 things you can do to train a man like a dog. Number 1, and the most important to me, is give him tasks to complete.
Yeah, believe it or not, there are some women out there that actually believe that men need to be trained.
Whatever problem you have, if he can fix it, he can progress with you. If he can't, or he says no, he's a little bitch anyway, and you don't want a failure in your life.
Yeah, we're just gonna leave that one alone.
2 is positive reinforcement. Just like dogs, men need positive reinforcement to reward them.
Do you think they could dehumanize men a bit more if they tried harder?
Whatever it is that he's done, show him appreciation, thank him. Use your words, use a smile, be kind, be nice. Your energy is so important, and that's what he wants to take from you, your energy.
I would like to point out that a person's energy and the words coming out of their mouth are obviously not necessarily reflections of their personality.
Number 3, have clear boundaries. If he's disrespected you, if he's not paying you attention, if he's doing things that you don't like,
withdraw your attention, withdraw your time, your availability, you're gone.
On that part, we can actually agree. Clear boundaries in relationships are very important. So if anyone, whether it be a man or a woman, senses that their partner is trying to train them to try to be a certain way in a relationship, as if they were a dog, it's time to run.
You notice that the men who have money never have a problem with the women who like material things?
Well, let's think about this rationally for a moment. A lot of the men that have excess money, and by excess, I mean more money than they necessarily need to get by on a daily or yearly basis and don't have to live paycheck to paycheck, a lot of times probably don't worry about having to budget down to the last penny. So spending money on incidentals or things that don't necessarily matter that much really isn't that big of a deal.
But the men that don't have money make it a huge issue.
Might that be because a lot of men out there actually have to live within their means and cannot justify spending money on things that a woman just wants because they want it? They actually have to worry about spending their money on things that are valuable and meaningful and that they need in life.
Is that a coincidence?
What is not a coincidence is that is spoken like someone who's never actually had to be careful with their finances. Otherwise, they would understand why some men are careful with what they spend.
Genuinely keep that to yourself. Like, I don't want to see you crying. I don't want to see you sad.
There's a very important question that needs to be asked here. Is this just rage bait? Or is someone finally being honest about how a lot of women feel about men sharing their emotions with them?
I cannot stand when a guy comes up to me and tries to tell me his feelings and open up to me.
I'm just waiting for them to say, man up.
Like, you guys will literally open up to me and be like, so this is what happened in my past. Baby, I actually don't care. Like, whenever a guy tells me about his past, I genuinely associate that with him wanting to be done dirty.
Now, I know some of you are going to say that this is very unrealistic. However, there is a large portion of men that actually have to deal with this very type of behavior every single day.
Like, you're willingly telling me everything that, all your trauma, like I am shiesty. I'm going to use that against you. I'm going to use that in you against an argument. Don't tell me about your issue, because I will use that. You're never going to go a day, a night, an hour, a second without hearing your worst memory, because you told me that.
If this is rage bait, it is very good and very on point, because this is exactly what happens to a lot of men out there, and it is why they tend to keep their emotions and feelings to themselves.
Like we all know, these modern women, they're not emotionally equipped for anything. They're not emotionally intelligent at anything. They're idiots. Unfortunately, I don't take pleasure in saying that. But when you hear this stuff over and over again, these types of women, they have nothing in their brain. They have nothing to offer. They have nothing to give. But they'll be the loudest ones chirping, want something from a man, want protection from a man. But then for some reason, thinking that they can get away with not giving a man anything. Not even so much as a thank you. Wow.
I left my boyfriend and I've been traveling for 10 days and I've slept with 22 people in that 10 days.
What? How many?
22 people in that 10 days.
And they seem proud of this.
My goal was 20 and I just hit 22 this morning. It's 1 p.m. now here in Paris and I need to check out because I'm going home.
I can only imagine what they're going to do to fill the rest of the day.
I really doubt I'm going to get another one on the board.
Wait. They're hoping for more?
Either on the plane or like on my layover. So I think 22 is where we're going to cap it out. But how did I go?
Well, at least they're breaking stereotypes, proving that it's not just some men that are completely indiscriminate when it comes to who they choose to be with, but I'm not exactly sure why any person would be proud of such a accomplishment. It's not exactly a flex to be like a 24-hour gas station opening to servicing anyone who happens to come in. Troubling, isn't it? But wait, there's more.
You might find me in the shadows, you might see me in the light. You'll never know the demons that I
And all of those I happened to find in a span of less than 30 minutes just scrolling through social media as I normally would. And if seeing that didn't give a lot of you some insight and better perspective into how popularized it is becoming to spread not only misandry, but prejudice against men, I don't know what will. And I'm sure there's a lot of you asking, why? Why are those posts continuing to allowed to be put out there on social media? And the simplest answer is because they're popular. They're popular among women and men. They get likes and they get views. I wonder when this is going to stop, because apparently spreading prejudice and hate is just too popular to quit.
If that man had to block you, okay, you win.
Has the term winning come to mean being absolutely so insufferable that in order to preserve his own well-being and mental health, that they had to go so far as to break all contact with someone and actually block them so that they wouldn't have to see their face? Is that what winning means now?
Right. That's how you know you really got to him.
By got to him, I think they mean scared him.
If he had to block you, okay, you win.
No, that is actually not what winning looks like, because I think most of us are aware that guys rarely block women, at least not without a very good reason. So likely someone's behavior had escalated to the point where it was, shall we say, erratic, that it was actually the safest thing and best thing for all involved for him to stop all contact and just block her.
The real reason we have a male loneliness epidemic,
Oh, goody. This again.
is because marriage was DEI for men.
So DEI isn't a good thing now? Funny how it was in certain circumstances before, but apparently it's now being used to disparage men. I can't wait. Let's hear more.
There are so many men who are single now, who 50 or 60 years ago, a woman would have settled and married because without him, she did not have access to like a bank account.
I have the distinct feeling that if that's the only reason that a lot of women decided to get married, that a lot of those men were still really lonely, because a person can be absolutely lonely in a non-loving relationship.
Or just generally, women needed men a lot more socially. Being single was so bad that you would settle up with whatever bum you could find.
Wait a minute. Why are they trying to make it sound like it's no longer bad if a woman wants to remain single? But if a guy is still single, that must mean that he's lonely. When in fact, from everything that I've been hearing, most of the guys that are single are staying that way because they can't find a woman suitable enough to be in a relationship with.
So basically, when it comes to me as a minority, quote unquote, then give me all of the assistance. Basically, give me all of the handouts that you can muster up. Oh, and then at the end of it, get out of my way. Don't take any credit for it, because I'm going to take all the credit and say I was a strong, independent woman. And I built all of this. When it comes to a man, and a man should get a benefit out of anything, then all of a sudden, it's a handout for him. How is this a handout? I mean, the man has to work. I thought I listened to a video by MTR today, and he was critiquing Abba and Preach and how they talked about, I think it was the video about the red pillar, like the red pill guy talks to a normal man or something like that. And they brought up the statistic or the point about men greatly benefiting in marriage because they can work longer hours and make more money, basically. And the thought came to my mind, like, why do you think that they're working longer hours? You know, not saying that any of this is like untrue, but why do you think they're working longer hours? And I think one of the things that Abba and Preach said was, well, you know, not having to do this at home, not having to do that at home enables them to work longer hours. Probably because that was a conversation that the both of them had. And the woman decided, okay, if you do this, then I'll stay at home and do this. Or I'll go take care of this. If you can work harder and make more money. Because guess what? Surprise, surprise. There are a lot of women out there that don't want to work hard. They don't. A lot of these modern women don't want to work at all. They want a man to go 100-0. That's optimal. 6 feet, 6 inches, 6 pack, 6 figures. If I don't have to do anything, then I will. So I don't know if that's necessarily something to throw out there and brag about, because a man has to work longer hours and he has to bring in more cash. He's probably doing it because of his family. But please, after the man having to work hard, having the man have to slave away in certain aspects, have the man having to listen to you and hear you talk about nonsense day in and day out. The man have to keep his emotions in check. The man having to take you emotionally dumping on him day after day, while you sit up and don't ask him about his feelings. And even when you do, he tries to tell you about his feelings, you sit up there and you don't care about him. You don't care nothing about him. Then you go online like you're doing right now and you're trashing, talking about it's DEI. Marriage is DEI for men. How? When the man is doing the work. You make it seem like men are just taking it, they ain't doing nothing, and you get no benefit from it. A lot of women got to stop lying.